Well, hey, what's going on? Thanks for joining us on Cinema Recap. So today we're going to take a look at that 2014 sci-fi action film called Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So, apes, a lot of them, talking amongst themselves with advanced hand gestures and sign language. Thank God for subs. Now, Caesar is the leader of them, having been the only guy who can form grammatically complete sentences, and also has past battlefield experience. Now, these apes, led by Caesar, are out hunting reindeers in the wild. A lot of them attack on Caesar's cue. His son, Blue Eyes, comes across a collapsed reindeer. With a spear in hand, he walks forward to attack it. But just then a bear growls at him, causing him to stumble back. Caesar's quick to save his son, screaming to signal the rest of them there. A spear's thrown by one of the apes from behind, aimed right at the bear, killing it. Scratches now scar Blue Eyes' face. I'm feeling the name Blue Eyes for him. It's nice. They all head towards their local hangout spot, which is also built to be their home. Maurice, an orangutan, teaches other fetus apes the English alphabet and disciplines them on how they never hurt their own kind. Apes never kill apes. Even apes can't escape school these days. Now Caesar gets some news of his pregnant wife who just gave birth. It's a little boy. Blue Eyes also meets his new baby brother. And as Maurice and Caesar bond over how far they come, Maurice asks the latter if he still thinks about them, the humans. Caesar says that none of the past matters now. Humans destroyed each other. They ponder over if humans have gone extinct yet. While Ash and Blue Eyes are heading out to hunt, a human approaches them. They stop in their tracks and a man pulls out his gun at him in panic. The moment Ash takes a step forward, the guy shoots him. Upon hearing that gunshot, the rest of the apes go crazy. The man calls over his buddies, frantically letting them know that he shot one of the apes. So the troop of apes appear and gang up on the humans. Calling them humans really makes me feel dissociated. The apes see Ash, who was shot, which angers them, and Malcolm sees the anger in the eyes of the ape. He orders his friends to put their guns down. Caesar jumps in front of him and screams at him to leave. And as they run away, Alexander, Malcolm's son, drops his bag. Caesar tells Koba to follow the humans. Malcolm heads back to their colony and tells Dreyfus all about what just happened. Now we have Maurice, intrigued by Alexander's sketchbook, which he found in the drop bag. He's flipping through it, observing all these sketches. All the apes are in rage and arguing over the plan of attack on humans. But Caesar's screaming at him, and silence falls. He was against the idea of a reckless war, not wanting to lose all that they had built over these years, their home. And Koba's not satisfied. He approaches Caesar and reminds him of the time that he was imprisoned in a lab by these same humans. Caesar had saved him back then, and now Koba wants his revenge. Caesar assures him that they'll attack, but cautiously. Later on, Caesar and the family of apes decide to pay the humans a visit. The people at the colony are in shock at the number of apes that are standing before them. Malcolm approaches. Caesar comes forward and declares out that they don't want a war. They give back Alexander's bag and warn Malcolm that as long as they keep to themselves, they can live together in harmony, basically asking the humans to stay in their lane. Well, everyone's panicked, but Dreyfus assures them that they were immune to being infected again by the apes, and they are running out of power for their survival needs. In search of power and energy is what led them in search of a dam. And the dam would help with their power source and also help humanity connect with each other in the future. Malcolm and Dreyfus discussed the dam, although Dreyfus announced to the people that they would find another way to obtain power. He was aware that the dam was the only choice. They would have to get through the apes to survive. Malcolm tells Dreyfus on talking it out with the apes, whereas Dreyfus is planning on a full-blown attack on him to take over the dam. But eventually he agrees on giving Malcolm 3 days' time. If Malcolm fails to succeed with his sales pitch to Caesar, Dreyfus is taking the highway. Ellie's worried about Malcolm as he's packing to leave, so she decides to accompany him along with Alexander. And when they get there, Malcolm orders them to wait in the car as he heads out to negotiate. He walks towards the home of the apes. Although not welcomed at first, Caesar does agree to hear him out. Malcolm guides him to the dam and explains how they could utilize the power and energy off of it. But Caesar's not looking convinced. He tells him that if they can give up all their guns in hand, then he'd be willing to let Malcolm and his friends stay to go on with their business. So the apes smash all their guns with a rock. Koba's over here all angry, not knowing why he agreed to the humans. But Caesar's explaining that if they didn't agree on the humans' desperate request, they'd probably retaliate with an attack. So Malcolm and the rest of them camp there overnight, sitting around the bonfire, eating their bowl of instant ramen. Doesn't matter how wrecked human civilization is, ramen will always prevail. Carver starts being a jerk and blames the apes for all they'd done in the past and being the cause of this virus. Ellie disagrees, but Carver's too full of himself to listen to her, which he does blatantly admit. And so the next morning, Alexander wakes up to Marie standing and innocently staring at him from outside his tent. As Malcolm and the others start the work on the dam, all apes surround them to keep watch. Koba's making his way with 2 other apes to spy on the humans at their colony. He's not willing to trust them, and he discovers their stock of gunpowder and ammunition, leaving him in awe. Koba's caught by 2 men and they aim their guns at him. And as they're contemplating whether or not to shoot, Koba blows a raspberry at him and starts acting dumb. Now they don't see him as a threat anymore, so they let him go. And Koba leaves and is prepared to inform Caesar of all the weapons the humans had in store for him. Now Malcolm and the rest are trying to fix up the dam. But there's a blockage in it, so they're trying to clear it out. A load of debris falls on them, and they're stuck. Ellie and Alexander rush towards them, but she's unable to help them on her own. She looks up at the apes, and they lend a hand and help them out. It's pretty cute. They get out, and Carver's has a badly injured leg. Ellie takes care of it for him. And Malcolm thanks Caesar for helping save their life, and suddenly, Caesar's newborn falls down from the horse. He gets up on his little feet and climbs over Ellie's shoulder. And he smiles fondly at the sight and holds out her finger for him to take. Alexander's also fascinated by its naive gestures and actions. The little ape walks towards their box of tools, playing with it. There's a gun hidden under there. Carver's gets up screaming and pushes the ape away, and this creates chaos. Carver's holds up the gun at the apes, but Caesar rips it away from him and pushes him down. He's about to hit him with the gun, but Malcolm screams and stops him. Caesar throws the gun into the water in anger and tells him to leave immediately. Boo, Carvers! Caesar comes back to see his wife on her deathbed. Malcolm tries to apologize once again, convincing Caesar that they would tell Carvers to leave. When Malcolm and Ellie see Caesar's wife in a bad state, Ellie offers to help with the medicines she had in hand. Caesar doesn't trust them at first, but then he agrees to do it. He gives them one more day to finish what they started at the dam. Malcolm forces Carvers to stay in the car for the rest of the time, keeping his promise to Caesar. Koba comes rushing in, asking for Caesar, only to discover that he was with the humans, helping him. Now Koba's mad, real mad. Koba pushes Alexander, who was in his way, and Malcolm quickly comes in to defend his son. Maurice too steps in and blocks Koba from attacking Alexander. Our MVP Caesar finally shows up. Koba starts an uproar, doubting Caesar's intentions and loyalty to the apes. They bust out in a physical fight, but Caesar manages to put Koba in his place. Koba gives back a half-hearted apology. Caesar gestures to Blue Eyes, asking him to obey his father, and the kid pushes his food aside and walks away. Stubborn teens. Alexander gives his book to Maurice as a gesture to thank him for standing up to Koba. And when Koba appears back at the colony, he walks up to the same 2 men he had an encounter with the day before. They start screaming at him to leave, but he fools around and sits with them. They pour him a drink and laugh around. The laughs die down when Koba grabs that gun and shoots him dead. Now Malcolm succeeds in getting the power working and manages to even get lights on in the area. Koba, who's entered his villain phase, attacks Carvers. When Caesar shows Malcolm and the rest a stream of lights seen in a distance, they celebrate the occasion. However, it's a short celebration. When Caesar looks down, his eyes meet Koba's, and bang! Koba shot Caesar, his aim falling on his shoulder. Koba drops the gun and escapes before anyone sees him. Caesar falls, and when Blue Eyes takes a look, he sees just the gun lying there, making him conclude that it was an act by the humans. Koba appears and takes the gun from Blue Eyes, confirming out loud that the humans were the ones behind Caesar's death. Koba had also ignited a fire before his attack on Caesar, and their home starts burning down, which obviously he blames on the humans too. Now Malcolm and the others run, scared of what's to come as Koba's announcing the declaration of a war and their attack on humans. Meanwhile, the humans are at the colony, partying and having the time of their lives. We really are an interesting species. Dreyfus looks over everyone and he reminisces over his past, his family. The apes begin their attack, and it starts with the armory set up by the humans. By the time they get to the colony, the humans have taken measures to brace for that attack, but Koba and the apes had gotten a hold of their guns and began to shoot endlessly. With gunshots firing non-stop, frightened Blue Eyes looks at the scary scene that's playing out before him. Koba's rage is strong, and he's not stopping. Humans start to fight back with bigger weapons. Complete war zone out here with a lot of apes and humans falling dead. Ellie finds Caesar's body, shocked to see that he's still alive. Caesar reveals the truth behind the attack and that it wasn't a human. So when some of the apes go against Koba, he's not taking it lightly. He kills him for disobeying, and he claims himself as the new leader and imprisons anyone who's going to stand by Caesar's words. Caesar guides Malcolm into a house where they could be safer now. It's where he once stayed. Caesar needs to be operated on soon, so Malcolm volunteers to go to the colony and get a surgical kit for Ellie to help. Malcolm sees the rampage in the colony, and he's running and tries his best to stay hidden. And as he's staying hidden, he faces Blue Eyes, who has his gun pointing at Malcolm. But he brings it down and is about to walk away when Malcolm tells him about Caesar, who's still alive. And Malcolm takes Blue Eyes with him to see his father. And father and son bond with each other, with Ellie interrupting them to begin the operation. Blue Eyes comes across the photograph of Caesar with a human who smiles at him in the photo. And when he wakes up, Blue Eyes tells him all about what happened with Koba. Caesar's really pissed, but he's too weak to take the fight on his own, so Blue Eyes says that he's got it. Cue Hunger Games whistle. Caesar finds the videotape of him and his human friend who was teaching him about home, and he tears up at the memory. Malcolm asks him about the person in the video. You're gonna have to watch the rest of the movie in the franchise to figure that out, Malcolm. Blue Eyes gathers the rest of his loyal and trusty comrades and takes them to Caesar. He tells Caesar about Koba's plan to bring the women and children here, so they devise their plan, and Malcolm helps them by showing the path to the tower through the subway. On the way, Malcolm splits and Dreyfus finds him. Dreyfus tells him all about how they've been trying to get help from the radio, and he fills Malcolm in on the big blast he has ready to destroy the tower and apes along with it. But Malcolm isn't a fan of this plan, and he grabs a gun and points it at Dreyfus, telling him not to go ahead with the idea. He asks to give Caesar and the apes some time. So Caesar and the rest are climbing up the tower, and now standing face to face with Koba. It's about to go down. Koba declares that he's the new leader, and now they break out into a fist fight. Really intense ape talk later. Caesar and Koba are on their final showdown. Both of them are equally beat up and fuming with hatred, but their battle comes to a halt when Dreyfus pushes the button and blows the tower up. The tower collapses hard, but guess what? Koba's still alive. He fires at the apes with his gun and Caesar jumps on him, trying to stop him. And this makes Koba fall off the edge. Nope, he's still alive and hanging onto the edge as Caesar looks down at him. There's a little Disney vibe in here going on, right? Now, ape does not kill ape, Koba reminds Caesar. So now you believe in that motto. Well, that's an A for effort. Caesar reaches out his hand and holds Koba's. His eyes then move up to Maurice and the rest of them, who stand wounded and in pain because of the war initiated. So Caesar lets go of his hand, disregarding him as one of their kind. Koba falls and dies. It was actually cinematically beautiful. Deserves an audience clap. Malcolm gets there and tells Caesar to quickly escape with the rest of the apes, and he informs Caesar about a troop of soldiers from the north who were making their way there. Well, Caesar refuses because the war had already begun for him, and he tells Malcolm, his friend, to escape instead, so that Malcolm can save himself and his family. You two. So nice. And that was the end. Thanks for chilling with us on our recap of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, released by 20th Century Fox and was a sequel to the 2011 film Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The movie starred Andy Serkis, Jason Clarke, and Toby Cabell. So if it was really down to the end of human civilization, which character would you want as your sidekick to save the planet? Caesar or Malcolm? Let us know in those comments using that hashtag #CinemaRecap. Till next time.